The Romanian Army's Airspace surveillance systems permanently monitor the air situation in the border area, a particularly complex situation this night in which approximately 50 single-use attack devices were involved. The attack began at around 9:15 p.m. and lasted until around 2:20 a.m., targeting the ports of Reni, Olivka, Kilia, and Vilkov.
Could Ukraine's alleged reckless provocations finally have triggered an incident that draws a NATO member state directly into the fighting, forcing allies to confront the possibility of invoking Article 5? Is Kiev deliberately provoking Moscow in a way that could encourage Russia to strike allied countries? And what would be the consequences if those provocations lead to attacks on NATO partners? Did a Russian drone today crash into a residential block in Romania, shattering an apartment and injuring civilians? And how are Romanian authorities responding to this alleged cross-border strike? Why were Romanian F-16 fighter jets scrambled following the detection of an inbound drone? And what does this rapid military response signal about Bucharest's readiness and rules of engagement? With Russia issuing warnings about possible nuclear escalation, are Western allies now stepping back diplomatically or militarily from Kiev? And how might that distancing affect Ukraine's ability to defend itself? The Russia-Ukraine war has taken a serious turn after a Russian drone crossed into Romanian airspace, raising fears that the conflict is spilling over into NATO territory and forcing regional capitals to reassess their security posture. The Russian drone hit a Romanian apartment block, sparking a fire and injuring 2 people, an alarming incident that has left residents shaken and authorities scrambling to investigate how a weapon from the battlefield ended up in a civilian neighborhood. The drone strike happened in Galați, near Romania's borders with Ukraine and Moldova, an area long on edge because of its proximity to the front lines and the growing risk of unintended cross-border incidents. Romania confirmed the drone entered its airspace during a major Russian attack near Ukraine, saying the timing suggests the incident was connected to intensified military operations rather than an isolated navigational error. Romania said the strike was a border conflict spillover, not a direct attack, stressing that while they judge it unintentional, the consequences for civilians are real and demand a firm response. However, EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen said Russia's war had crossed yet another line, warning that this latest episode marks a dangerous escalation with implications for European security and solidarity. NATO condemned Russia's recklessness after the drone struck Romanian territory, calling the incident unacceptable and underlining the alliance's concern about any action that endangers member state civilians. It is the first time Romanian civilians were hurt during the Ukraine war spillover, a grim milestone that highlights how the conflict's human toll is expanding beyond Ukraine's borders. 2 people were treated for abrasions and nearly 70 residents were evacuated, as emergency services worked through the night to tend the wounded, secure the site, and move vulnerable residents to safety.
Well, I think it's another provocation by the Russians. I don't believe this was an accident. This has happened too many times for the Russians to be doing this by accident. Either that or they're highly incompetent at waging war. But NATO needs to do something about this.
I am thinking Russian peace is slowly reaching here in Romania. I am Ukrainian, and what happened here? In Ukraine, there are hundreds like these all night, killing people, children, the elderly. Just one fell here, and Romanians and the European Union must conclude to draw attention so that the Russians understand he can't do such thing. A drone fell. Why let it fall normally with so many planes guarding our country? Or is there some interest that it falls here all the time?
Romania said the drone's entire explosive payload detonated inside the building, amplifying the damage to the structure and increasing the risk to anyone who happened to be inside at the time. Romania scrambled 2 F-16 fighter jets after detecting the incoming drones, deploying air assets in a rapid response meant to intercept threats and reassure the public that their airspace is being defended. The Romanian military had only 4 minutes between detection and impact, a tiny window that underscores how rapidly such threats can materialize and how limited options can be for interception. Romanian President Nicolae Dan called an emergency national security meeting, convening top officials to review the incident, coordinate a response, and consult with allies on the next steps. Romania said drone debris landed on its territory 47 times since the Ukraine war began. Italian officials say demonstrates a persistent hazard along the border and a pattern of spillover incidents that have endangered communities. Ukraine appears to be losing allies as 9 nations pulled out of the ammunition coalition, a development that raises urgent questions about Kiev's ability to sustain frontline supplies and the cohesion of Western support efforts. President Pavel says support for the Czech-led ammunition initiative has dropped, telling the Financial Times that dwindling contributions reflect growing donor fatigue and shifting political priorities among partner states. Almost half of the backers have withdrawn their support for Ukraine under the initiative, a striking reversal that could force organizers to rethink funding, procurement and distribution plans at a moment when ammunition needs remain critical. Petr Pavel, President of the Czech Republic: "The initiative is still working, but the new difficulty is that only about 9 member states are contributing financially. This initiative has been delivering up to 50% of all large-caliber ammunition to the Ukrainians, so in this sense it cannot be replaced easily by anything else." Unquote. Remember, the Czech-led initiative was aimed at supplying Kiev with millions of shells, a large-scale effort designed to shore up Ukraine's artillery stocks and sustain prolonged defensive and offensive operations on the battlefield. The Czech Republic has delivered more than 3 million artillery shells under the initiative, a substantial contribution that has materially bolstered Kiev's firepower and demonstrated Prague's central role in coordinating munition support. The Czech president seeks to discuss the coalition at the NATO summit in Ankara in July, hoping to rally remaining members, rebuild momentum for the program, and secure commitments that could prevent further erosion of the initiative's capabilities. Michal Stranad, owner and chief executive of CSG, said, and I quote, "Some of the donating countries basically said that they are not interested in financing it, the initiative, anymore. So they buy directly from us or from some other suppliers. The initiative is not dead, it's still working, but it's a bit slow." Unquote. Russia appears to have intensified revenge calls after Ukraine attacked a college in Luhansk, with hardline voices and state-aligned commentators ratcheting up demands for a strong and retaliatory response that they say must not go unanswered. The State Duma chair warned that Ukraine's college attack could result in untold consequences, issuing a stark admonition that such strikes may provoke a severe and unpredictable reaction with far-reaching political, military, and humanitarian fallout.
The criminal regime in Kiev sent drones to attack defenseless children. 21 children were killed, most of them girls. This is a crime against humanity. There is no statute of limitations on such crimes. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his henchmen bear responsibility for this. Those who fire missiles and drones at children, the elderly and women are scum. Our response must be severe. For our part, we must urge as many MPs in European countries as possible, those who have even a shred of conscience left, to stop aiding terrorists and to do everything in their power to ensure that those who gave the orders, those who directed the drones to the college, are brought to justice. This is a question for those American companies that allow the Kiev regime to use their satellite constellation. Elon Musk himself must understand that his satellites are being used to kill children. His respectable image is completely at odds with what is actually happening. All this could lead to us using weapons that leave no trace of anyone. We must not let it come to that. Let us honor the memory of the children.